Despite being insanely strong this season, thanks to his recent buffs, most people are still writing Captain America off, and the ones that do try him out end up playing him completely wrong and failing. So today, as somebody who has solo queued 2 Celestial by only playing Captain America, well before he even was buffed in the first place, and hangs in the highest lobbies in Marvel Rivals with the coolest kids, let me tell you guys how to actually play Captain America so you too can start making people rage quit just like this. This guide includes basics, more in-depth information, and some insane combos that let you blow up supports in no time. Now do keep in mind that if you want to stay in the know for updates to Captain America or any other heroes, then you really want to join the Otter Dojo. Ranked players are frustrated, Marvel Rivals is constantly changing, your favorite hero can go from broken to garbage in one patch, which makes it hard to know what's currently meta and how it's gonna fit in with your ranked grind. This is one of the many reasons I started the Otter Dojo, my private coaching community, where I run classes on up-to-date strategies on how to climb the ranks, community games with like-minded gamers, and so much more to give players like you the much-needed tools to reach your goals. And I can't change these guides that you are currently watching as the heroes keep receiving changes between almost every single patch. But inside of the dojo, we have written guides that update every time a new patch hits, so you can stay in the know for your favorite hero and know that the information and the numbers in the guide are up to date and still correct. So if you are looking for the best way to stay up to date and learn all of these strategies that helped me reach top 500, click the first link in the description. Just a heads up, there are still a few discounted spots left. Once these spots are filled, the membership is set to go up in price, so you really don't want to miss out. I'll see you guys inside, and let's get back to the video. As of the April 30th patch, he now has 700 maximum health, along with a temporary 5% damage boost for the rest of the season. The damage numbers for the rest of this guide are before you apply that 5% damage buff, but the breakpoints are the same. This makes him nearly unkillable and a lot more impactful than in previous seasons. With the release of Season 2, Captain America had his health and shield health lowered, but then subsequently got his health raised, seeing as he's the team-up anchor this season. We'll cover the specifics of the team-up later in the video, but it does mean that his total health ends up at 750 this season, making him nearly unkillable, not to mention that he also received a 5% damage boost, which gives him an even higher damage output than in previous patches. Captain America's primary fire, Sentinel Strike, is really what makes him become a menace to the backline, but it requires that you use it the perfect way, because if you don't, you're really just tickling your enemies. For the first 2 hits, your primary is a melee attack that deals 40 damage on hit. After you've hit an enemy 2 times, then it changes and you can throw your shield up to 25 meters in front of you for additional ranged damage up to 4 throws at a time. The shield deals 45 damage per hit and can hit marginally faster than the punching without animation cancels, so assuming you can line up your shots and you want to hit a singular target, using the shield whenever you have it is the optimal way to go. The amount of charge that you have, either until you can start throwing your shield or the amount of throws that you have left, is visible right here under the crosshair. You don't actually need to throw your shield if you don't want to, and even if you have thrown shields charged up, then you are able to keep punching your enemies if you hit the quick melee key. Since the melee, like any other melee, pierces most shields except bubbles like Hulks or Magnetos, and also does cleave damage, sometimes using the melee rather than the shield is the way. If a target is holding the shield up to stay alive, or if 2 or more of your enemies are really close together and you want to deal as much damage as possible, then using your quick melee instead of the shield can raise your damage output significantly. If enemies are stuck inside of a friendly Groot ult, then the same thing applies. Hitting all of them lets you help out and farm a ton of damage at the same time. Just be careful about getting blown up by 6 people looking your way. I suggest making sure that you have your quick melee on a comfortable key that doesn't force you to stretch your fingers or that slows down moving your finger to use the melee rather than your primary fire. Personally, I both have the thumb button on my mouse as well as the normal quick melee bound at the same time, so I can decide which one I want to use depending on the situation. Cap's secondary fire raises his shield, which blocks incoming damage and reflects any incoming projectiles and gunshots. The deflected projectiles travel in a completely random direction and deal half the damage of they would have if they hit Cap or an ally. The shield has a maximum health of 350, which drains as the damage keeps coming in and gets deflected. The shield health isn't 1-to-1 with the incoming damage and can usually deflect a lot more than the outgoing damage. For example, if they hold the shield in front of a Punisher as he's shooting his turret, and there has been a little bit of extra damage on the Punisher turret, then you can destroy the entire turret while still keeping some of your shield intact. Most of Punishers don't realize this and will end up destroying their turrets for no reason. In the same vein, if you can close the gap against an enemy Punisher mid-ultimate, then he will kill himself if he keeps shooting moving into the shield, but you have to be very close to pull it off. After lowering the shield and keeping the shield lowered, it recharges at a rate of 50 per second. If the shield is completely destroyed, then it has a 5-second cooldown, and of course still needs to recharge before it's fully back. So unless you absolutely have to, it usually makes sense to lower the shield before it gets destroyed so you can have it when you need it. Keep in mind that, unlike Doctor Strange, raising and lowering the shield has a 1-second cooldown, so spamming it or trying to bait out shots doesn't really work. There's also no maximum limit to how long you can hold your shield up for, so if you predict that a ability is about to come out, then raising your shield and keeping it up will either let you deflect the ability or at the very least stop the enemy from using it. Just keep in mind that if you knew they were going to use that 1 stun or vital cooldown and they didn't because you raised your shield, then odds are they're going to use it the second you lower the shield, so make sure that you create some distance between the two of you before you lower it again. Thankfully, the rest of your kit helps with just that. The shield will block line of sight abilities like Doctor Strange's ultimate or Neymar's ultimate as long as you keep the shield up while facing towards it. As I mentioned, the shield also bounces back any projectiles. That includes ultimate abilities, even huge ones like Magneto's or Iron Man's ultimate. Deflected projectiles become owned by Cap, so to speak, meaning that if you block ultimates or huge damage abilities, then they will deal a ton of damage if they do hit enemies, just, half of it. If you block a stun, then it will stun any hit enemies, and if you block any type of healing projectile, then that projectile can heal you or any other nearby teammates. This is especially useful if you're playing against a rocket, as you can cut off his heals, and if you're lucky, heal yourself or any nearby teammates as the healing balls keep bouncing around. Unlike any other shields in the game, melee attacks don't go through Captain America's shield. The only abilities that will pierce the shield are Panther's ultimate, Magic Stash, and Grab. Additionally, funny enough, if Iron Fist punches the shield with his charged up glowing fists, then the punches are returned right back to him. Another great tech that you definitely need to learn as Cap is looking down and spamming your shield really fast. This lets you spread your freedom, so to speak. And also, another tech you probably should learn is hitting the like button on this video. Captain America can also sprint. Activating the ability makes you run faster, about 33% or so. During the sprint, Cap can also jump higher as long as he is currently sprinting beforehand. Fun fact, as long as you're moving forwards, then you can enter a sprint just by hitting the sprint key. And this sounds obvious, but hear me out. This means that if you're standing still, then you can start moving forward, start a sprint, and then jump in a very quick sequence, letting you jump from standing still or just slowly walking forward at any time. This can be very useful if you're moving from side to side or backwards and suddenly need to jump, but generally speaking, you're gonna find yourself holding sprint and running forwards and turning around using your aim rather than your keys instead. But it is still worth knowing about for that additional movement option. While you need to hold a forward input to be able to sprint, that doesn't mean you only have to go straight forward when doing so. You can also add additional steering while sprinting, while turning your aim around, or adding left or right movement inputs while you are still moving forward. This is really good to know about for when we cover the combos later in this video, as they require sprinting, and ideally you're going to want to zigzag back and forward in front of your targets to keep hitting them. You can also raise your shield while sprinting and even jumping, which can be perfect if you need to block those huge ultimates. Blocking Iron Man is pretty straightforward if you can reach him, and if you want to have the best chance blocking a Magneto, getting high up right in front of his big meatball instead of his face will give you the best results. The jump goes up to 5 meters up, which is enough to clear most high grounds in the game or get above something like a Groot's wall. Unlike other sprints in the game, Captain America doesn't have stamina, meaning you can keep sprinting for as long as you want. Jumping doesn't take any stamina either. Thanks to being able to run around without stamina and being able to jump wherever you want to, this means that Captain America easily has access to the enemy backlines, but can also easily get onto flank routes to help his flankers or look for divers. It is worth noting that while jumping normally means you are easier to hit, it does seem like most enemies really struggle with hitting jumping Caps, so if you want to stay alive and distract the enemies, then this is usually going to be the play. You would be surprised with how much you can get away with if you just jump over somebody's head over and over again, because that forces them to be uncomfortable and keep turning around. And if there's anything you want to do as a Captain America, then that is making the enemies feel uncomfortable. Now, the jump doesn't save you from Jeff's ultimate no matter what you do, but you do have an ability to survive that, which we're going to cover later in the video. However, it is a really good move to quickly jump upwards if Bucky tries ulting you, as his ultimate really only hits the ground and can't really affect targets that are high up enough in the air. Also, I don't really know where to mention this, but as you are sprinting, if you're strafing to the left and the right while looking down, then your head hitbox will be impossible able to shoot, especially if they're looking from behind, as you will give them a good view of America's ass and not much else. Whenever Cap is midair, at the very least about 3 meters off the ground, then he can perform a Super Soldier Slam wherever he is aiming, up to 20 meters away horizontally, and 3 meters underneath him. Enemies that are hit by the slam are briefly knocked up and take 30 damage. The slam isn't a hard CC, but is very useful to stop enemies from moving, and ideally, you get enough to lock them in place for you and your teammates to deal with them before they get away. That being said, the slam is pretty good against something like a Hulk, since with most displacements, including your slam, remove any charge that he has on his jump, which grounds him for a little while as he has to charge it back up. With the right timing, if you slam heroes that are using their movement abilities, like a dashing Black Panther or a Venom just starting his web swing, then they'll lose all of their momentum to get knocked up while still consuming their movement cooldown, which turns them into an easy kill. The slam has a cooldown of about 12 seconds, which means it can be a great tool for quickly diving into the backline and harassing the enemies, or just rotating back from spawn, or even resetting off of a bad situation if you end up getting in over your head without your other escape cooldown available. Cap's first ability, Radium Energy Saw, lets him throw his shield forward up to 25 meters away, so the same range as your primary weapon when charged up. After landing, the shield bounces between nearby enemies, dealing 70 damage at the first hit, and then dealing 20% less damage for each consecutive hit, up to 3 ricochets. If you throw the shield onto the ground near an enemy, then it will bounce to them and then continue ricocheting if there are more enemies nearby. But since it deals less damage per ricochet, this means that you'll have a higher damage potential if you can directly hit your target with the shield rather than shooting the ground. The ricochet is homing to the closest enemy within range and will zero in on and hit invisible enemies as well, assuming they are, of course, within range of the ricochet. The energy saw has a cooldown of 8 seconds, so it isn't that long, but you should usually keep it available to be used as a finisher if your enemy is about to get away with low health. Since it is so forgiving with a homing bounce, then you are very likely to land a finishing blow even if your aim is a little off. You can just go for shooting the ground instead. You can also throw the shield in right before using your Super Soldier Slam to get good initial burst damage, but then you don't have the finishing move readily available, so it's not something I can recommend as a standard combo. Cap's next ability, Liberty Rush, makes Cap dash forward towards the crosser. The dash is just horizontal, so you can't move vertically at all, either up or down. Enemies that are hit by the dash take 30 damage and stop Cap from moving any farther forward. If nothing stops him, the dash can reach as far as 12 meters. The description says that you raise your shield and charge forward, but after some brief testing, it does not seem to actually act as if you have your shield raised and will not block or deflect incoming damage. That being said, you can still turn around your view during the dash, with you turning towards where you're all looking after the dash has concluded. So this is perfect if you need to dash in front of something you need to block, like a huge ultimate, after which you can just raise your shield like usual. Just don't expect it to work during the charge or briefly afterwards. Out of all your abilities, the Liberty Rush serves the least purpose with the least amount of utility, and it makes the most sense to avoid using this unless you absolutely need that additional damage to get out of a sticky situation. Consider it a get out of jail free card more than anything else. That being said, another good reason to keep Liberty Rush available is of course because it makes you CC immune during the dash. This means you can dodge huge abilities and ultimates just by dashing, including but not limited to like the Stranger's ultimate, Jeff's ultimate, or even the Thing's ultimate. Captain America's ultimate freedom charge releases the power of America. Activating the ultimate immediately gives Cap 150 bonus health and gives nearby allies 100 bonus health. It also applies a 30% speed boost to both you and nearby allies. For the next 5 seconds, as you keep moving around, you will also leave a trail of freedom behind you. During the ultimate, you gain 100 bonus health a second, and any teammates that are inside of the wake of freedom receive 60 bonus health a second, as well as that same continuous speed boost. If you hold your shield up as you're sprinting, then any enemies that you touch get knocked up the same way they would with your slam. This is perfect for when you want to lock that one enemy in place and try to kill him. Just keep raising your shield to knock him up whenever he lands. Your ultimates can be used as an aggressive ultimate that can be used to run into the enemy team, but it can also be used as a defensive ultimate that keeps you and your teammates up for longer. If you're trying to play around a point and stay alive, then making sure to run around the point and where your teammates want to play is vital, as this spreads as much freedom as possible while still giving your teammates the space to move around while still receiving the benefits from your ultimate. But anyways, now that we know how the kit works, let's go a little bit more in depth with the animation cancels that really take him to the next level, with his damage per second going to the max. The first easy cancel you can do is just by holding your forward and sprint key and spamming either your primary fire or melee key at the same time. This significantly raises the speed of your punches and your damage per second. Since sprinting pushes you forward, this does mean that you ideally want to keep weaving to the left and the right while keeping the sprint up, so you can stay on top of your target while still being in that sprint state. But obviously, unless you are using quick melee, then you'll end up getting your shields pretty damn fast. Thankfully, there's an animation cancel technique for this one as well. By holding your sprint key and moving forward, followed by you holding your primary fire until the shield hits the target and deals damage, after which you immediately release and press again as soon as you can, you'll be throwing out the shields at an insanely fast rate. Just keep in mind that you need to hold your primary fire for longer if your targets are farther away, and if you mess up your timing, then you deal no damage while your shield charge still gets used. Don't listen to the audio cues here because they're confusing. Keep an eye on when the damage actually applies. Another decent animation cancel involves your shield slam and dash. After performing your slam, then you can use your dash at any point to fly a bit forward. This stops you from being stuck in the hero landing animation, while also letting you stay mobile. Finally, there's one more animation cancel that not many talk about. I mentioned it previously, but I figured I would mention it again for the sake of the video. After throwing your vibranium saw out, then you can cancel the return animation by raising your shield again. This lets you burst a singular target faster, and is especially useful for those few times that the Captain America return shield animation glitches out and it takes forever to actually get back to you. And when we combine all of this, then we have a huge combo that absolutely melts supports or other squishies. It's also really simple to do. To pull the combo off, find your target, jump and slam into them. While they are midair, go for 2 animation cancel punches and then 2 animation cancel shield throws. Finish them off with quickly tapping your vibranium saw and then returning it to you before jumping out and dashing away if you take too much pressure. This combo melts away any target at 275 health or below. You could use your dash for an additional hit if necessary, but as I said previously, it is safer to keep it to stay alive. As for your vibranium saw, if you throw it on the ground for the ricochet, then it will be enough to burst a 250 health target, but 275 health targets will just about survive. So as I mentioned previously in this guide, if possible, I would always suggest going for the direct hits if you can, because otherwise you need to stay on your target for even longer. In Season 2, Captain America has a team up with Winter Soldier. While he serves as a team up anchor, it still has an active component where if both Winter Soldier and Captain America use the team up together, then they will dash together, creating a shockwave that deals damage to any enemies when they touch tips. When it comes to your positioning, Captain America might want to be with his team when necessary and provide some additional frontline pressure, but most of the time he's going to want to be playing the flanks and pressuring the enemy backline, either with soft pressure, where he just kind of hangs around near the backline, which forces them to look around for him, or hard pressure, where he jumps in to force them to pay attention to him, while letting his own team destroy the rest of the enemies who don't have the support that they need. When pressuring the backline, having flanker or diver teammates will help, but what's most important is making sure you get the timing right. If you just jump into the backline before ensuring that the rest of the enemy team are distracted, then you will just end up dying. You want to jump in when the enemy team starts engaging your other teammates, as in almost all levels of play. Sometimes even in top 500, they won't even be able to turn around and help their backline. Sometimes the supports don't even help each other, giving you easy kills. Keep in mind that as a Captain America, even with animation cancels, you won't be able to land kills on any healers that are healing each other. You will also be unable to deal with strategists that pop their big cooldowns, such as Cloak and Dagger with their secondary fire heal bubble, or I guess the Void, Loki with his rune, Adam Warlock with his bond, and so on. Additionally, if they have more players defending their backline, then hard crowd controls like Winter Soldier's hook or other sleeps or stuns will stop you from being able to go in until they are gone. In these situations, what you need to do is jump in and pressure the enemies until these cooldowns come out. Then you need to either block the abilities or disengage before going back in afterwards, obviously depending on the abilities and the cooldowns. This forces your enemies to burn these vital cooldowns, which makes it easier for your team, but most importantly, makes it actually possible for you to burst them down once you fully commit to a dive. As for bans, I wouldn't say that Captain America has any exact heroes that hard counter him to the point where he is completely useless, but anti-dive heroes, and especially heroes with high consistent or high burst damage such as Namor or Punisher, will absolutely stop you from getting close to the backline in the first place. Make sure that you respect them or they will melt you. As for tanks, be wary of The Thing, as his earthbound zone will stop you from doing most of your abilities. When you are earthbound, then you can't run, jump, slam, or dash, meaning you can't really get out of it that easily, while also being unable to perform any animation cancels that actually would net you those kills. Penny can also be a huge problem, not just because of her stunts, but most importantly because of her mines and her spider nest. As a Cap, you don't really have a solid way to deal with the nest, so you have to either ask your team to break it or stay completely clear of it. Additionally, if there is a Thor, then just avoid fighting him altogether. A 4 will win this matchup every single time. In the same vein, Emma Frost can melt you with her primary, crystal, and grab you through your shield. So if there is an Emma, be very careful about getting too close and focus on baiting out her diamond form, as she can't grab you for at least 15 seconds after popping it. Loki can also be a bit of a problem because of his runes. Breaking runes is really awkward for you because of your kit, so your best bet will be trying to force them out and disengage the second that they do. As for heroes that you want, you can usually really make the most compositions work, but having someone like a Luna or Rocket Raccoon will make it a lot easier for the backline to keep you up if you are engaging enemies over longer ranges. Raccoon specifically can just shoot his balls in a general direction and bounce them yonder, without even needing a direct line of sight. As for your settings, I've seen a few suggestions for Captain America, but honestly, the default settings are good enough. If you change your sprint from hold to toggle, then your animation cancels look different, and in my opinion, they're a lot harder to pull off, so learning to do it this way is so much easier. Big shoutouts to I Can Do This All Day, who helped me go through this guide and helped me ensure that nothing was left out. If you guys want to get even better at Marvel Rivals, make sure you hop into the dojo, and of course, check out the video on the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.